The world can feel like a relentless storm. Waves of deadlines crash against you, winds of worry howl in your ears. The ground beneath your feet feels unsteady with every piece of bad news, every unexpected challenge. I remember a time when this storm felt all-consuming. The demands of work, the needs of family, the quiet anxieties that creep in during the dead of night had become a deafening roar. It felt as if I were adrift in a vast cold ocean with no land in sight. In that emptiness, a faint call echoed. It was the Adhan, the call to prayer. With a heavy heart and even heavier limbs, I made my way to perform wudu. The cool water on my skin was the first moment of stillness I had felt all day. As I stood on the prayer mat, facing the Qibla, the world outside began to fade. As I lowered my head to the ground in sujud, something inside me finally broke. It was not a prostration of despair, but of surrender. I was no longer a person lost at sea. I was a ship that had found its anchor. Salah is that anchor. We all crave connection. We spend our lives searching for someone who will listen without judgment, who will understand our deepest fears and our most soaring hopes. Yet we often forget that the most profound connection is available to us 5 times a day. Salah is not a monologue, it is a conversation, a sacred, intimate dialogue between you and your Lord. Imagine being granted a private audience with the King of all kings. You would prepare, you would dress in your best. This conversation is a source of immense spiritual nourishment. In a world that constantly tries to define us by our jobs, our possessions, our social status, Salah redefines us. It reminds us of our true identity, a servant of Allah. When we stand and recite the words of the Quran, we are not just speaking, we are listening to God speak to us through His own words. When we prostrate in sujud, we are at our closest to our Creator. In that moment of ultimate humility, our souls are elevated. The worries of the dunya seem so small from that vantage point. The peace that descends upon the heart during Salah is called sakina, a divinely inspired tranquility. This connection realigns our spiritual compass, pointing us back to what truly matters. Our lives are often lived in a state of reaction. We react to emails, traffic, the moods of others. We are pushed and pulled by external forces. Salah, however, is a proactive act. It is a deliberate choice to step away from the chaos and build a structure within ourselves. It is the architect of the soul, laying a foundation of discipline brick by brick, 5 times a day. Waking up for Fajr when the world is asleep and your bed is warm is an act of discipline. This daily training builds a spiritual muscle that strengthens our resolve in all other areas of life. The world can be a dark place, filled with injustice and suffering. It is easy to fall into despair, to believe that things will never get better. But Salah is a constant reminder that we are not alone in our struggles. Every prayer is an affirmation of faith in a higher power who is just and merciful. It is a declaration that even in the darkest of nights, dawn is coming. This instills a resilient hope, rooted in the certainty that Allah's plan is perfect. This hope becomes a light that guides us through our personal tunnels of difficulty. Moreover, Salah brings clarity. While Salah is a deeply personal conversation with God, it is also a profoundly communal act. When the call to prayer rings out through a neighborhood, it is calling a community. It synchronizes the hearts and actions of millions. Imagine, as the sun reaches its zenith, a Muslim in Malaysia is bowing for Dhuhr prayer. At that same instant, a family in Dubai is doing the same, as is a student in Cairo and a shopkeeper in London. We are truly a global family, united by this shared ritual, standing shoulder to shoulder in the mosque for congregational prayer. In that straight line, all worldly distinctions dissolve. The rich man stands next to the poor man. The doctor stands next to the janitor. Race, status, and wealth become irrelevant. Before God, we are all equal. We bow and prostrate as one body, our hearts beating in unison. This shared purpose fosters mutual support. When you see the same faces every day, they become your brothers and sisters. The mosque becomes a community center, creating a society where people look out for one another. It transforms a collection of individuals into a true ummah, a nation united in faith and purpose. The power of Salah is not an abstract theory, it is a lived reality, etched into the stories of countless lives. I think of a young woman I knew who was battling a crippling anxiety disorder. Leaving her house was a monumental struggle. It was her grandmother who gently guided her back to prayer. When the fear comes, don't fight it. Just go and make wudu. Go and talk to the one who is bigger than your fear. Her prayers were messy, filled with tears and trembling words, but they were her lifeline. Salah became her sanctuary, the one place where she could lay down her armor and just be. Consider the story of a businessman who had lost everything. His company went bankrupt, his fortune vanished. He was left with overwhelming debt and a sense of shame. He felt like a complete failure. He started clinging to his prayers, especially the late-night tahajjud prayer. In the silence of the night he would pour out his heart to Allah. He realized true wealth was not in his bank account, but in his ability to prostrate before his Lord. Then there is the story of a family that was drifting apart. They lived in the same house, but were like ships passing in the night. The mother insisted they would all pray Maghrib together as a family, every single day. Slowly, something began to shift. Take a moment now and pause. Think about your own prayer. When was the last time you truly felt it? Not just performed it, but felt it. When was the last time you stood on your mat and felt the weight of the world lift? When was the last time you placed your head on the ground and felt closeness to your Creator? We can become so accustomed to the ritual that we forget the reality behind it. We move through the motions, our minds wander to grocery lists, work emails, the conversation we just had. We turn it into a spiritual checkbox to be ticked off 5 times a day. But salah was never meant to be a burden. It was meant to be a relief. The Prophet Muhammad used to say to Bilal, "O Bilal, give us comfort with it," the prayer. It was his respite, his source of strength. Are we seeking comfort in our prayer? Reflect on the quality of your connection. Is it a static-filled line or a clear, open channel where your heart can speak and listen? Perhaps the first step is to slow down, take a few deep breaths, feel the water of wudu as it purifies you. In the end, salah is more than just a pillar of Islam. It is the very signature of a believer. It is the defining feature that separates a life oriented towards God from a life lost in the dunya. It is the central nervous system of a Muslim spiritual life, through which all nourishment flows. To abandon salah is to sever that lifeline, to unplug oneself from the only true source of power and peace. A life without salah is spiritual darkness, no matter how bright the worldly successes may seem. Your identity as a Muslim is renewed and affirmed with every prayer. 5 times a day you declare who you are and to whom you belong. In a world that pressures you to conform, to assimilate, to forget, salah is your act of spiritual resistance. It is the flag you plant in the soil of your day, claiming that territory for God. This daily act shapes your character, polishes your heart, and molds you into the person you were created to be. Do not view salah as a chore. See it as a gift. See it as an honor. You have been given a private audience with the King of the universe. It is the most powerful tool you have for navigating this life and preparing for the next.